All right, welcome, GM to all. This is our second web3.GSEA panel, proudly brought to you by AppWorks. I'm Jack, I'm your host for today. I'm a Web2 founder turned VC, turned Web3 DGen and VC, and I've been following the space since 2017. Today, I'm very excited to bring you a diverse background of founders across the region to share their insights on building Web3 companies in this part of the world. For those that don't know, GSEA stands for Greater Southeast Asia, a term that encompasses Southeast Asia plus Taiwan. GSEA was recently popularized by SEA, the mother company of Shopee and Garena. We have two very exciting panels for you all today. We've got 8 speakers hailing across GSEA, and for our first panel, our 4 panelists will be talking about the state of decentralized apps and what's next. Our second panel of 4 will be talking about building Web3 infrastructure and tooling in the bear market. So make sure you stick around to the end. But first, I want to give the virtual stage to our very own AppWorks partner, Jessica Liu. Jessica has led our Web3 investment at AppWorks since 2017, including the likes of Flow, Kraken, Figment, Splinterlands, and many more. Over to you, Jessica.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in web3.GSEA online forum again. Another half year passed. It's time to review how the Web3 ecosystem has evolved in the region. Phew, to be honest, the last few months is more like a riding roller coaster, but the difference is it just goes downwards. It not only shows how volatile of the industry, but also bring up the importance of the transparency. In 2018, AppWorks Accelerator entered the Web3 arena and launched AppWorks Fund 3 to support Web3 startups. Till now, there are 93 active startups launched by 181 Web3 founders. The snapshot we are putting together today, every half of the year, is based on our research and conversation with the founders around the region. Out of Southeast Asia, 700 million people, more than 70 of them remain unbanked or underbanked. which means they have very, very limited access to financial services. These provide optimal conditions for the mainstream adoption of DeFi, cryptocurrency, and NFT. In late 2021, we've seen a huge Web3 adoption momentum. According to the Chainalysis, Vietnam, Thailand, and Philippines are ranked first, 12th, and 15th in the world in terms of cryptocurrency adoption. Don't forget NFT. Southeast Asia has also taken a leader position. Thailand is home to 5.6 million NFT holders, with Vietnam 2.1 million and Indonesia at 1.2 million, ranking first, fifth, and eighth in the world respectively. Well, despite the global economy condition, the first half of 2020 we saw a number of notable Web3 financings throughout the region. For example, Indonesia's leading cryptocurrency exchange, Ping2, completed a 113 million Series B round of financing, with a total app download exceeding 4 million. BreederDAO, an NFT asset production platform in the Philippines, closed 10 million in Series A, led by A16Z and Delphi Digital. Another cryptocurrency exchange, PDEX in Philippines, completed 15 million Series B financing. Global players have also eyed on Greater Southeast Asia as well. The issuer of stablecoin USDC, Circle, acquired Sebavo, which is a Taiwanese company specializing in private key management security solutions. While Binance Labs also announced a strategic investment in Vietnam's DeFi platform, Coinciding. Today, the forum will split into two panels, from infrastructure to the application level. We invite Web3 startups representatives from the region who will share their strategy during bear market. Last but not least, now is the best time to build. Uniswap, OpenSea were built in the last bear market cycle, and we believe more great Web3 startups will come up in the next 12 to 18 months, especially in this region. So if you're a founder who wants to work closely with Web3 founder community, AppWorks is here for you. Well, back to you, Jack.
Yes, the adoption in this region is growing tremendously, and we're seeing more and more Web3 builders joining us every day. Now, without further ado, our first panel discussion, the state of decentralized apps and what's next. We are very fortunate to have four very insightful panelists to join us today. Tien Lee, the co-founder of Pando, based in Singapore, who will also be the moderator of this panel. Phoenix Xu, founder of Tea House, based out of Taiwan. Lawrence, founder of Nobi in Indonesia, and Colin Gotra, COO of YGG, also known as Yield Good Games, based out of the Philippines. Let's hear what they have to say about the state of decentralized apps and what's next.
Thank you everyone for tuning in to the panel. So I am Tien, the moderator of the panel titled The State of Decentralized Apps and What's Next. So joining us in the panel are Phoenix, CEO of Tea House, Lawrence, CEO of Nobi, and Colin, COO of YGG. So right now, I'm just gonna very quickly pass the time to our fellow panelists to give a very quick introduction of themselves and the project that they're currently working on. So we could start with Phoenix first.
Hi. Thank you for having me. So my name is Phoenix, and working on a DeFi investment infrastructure. It's called Tea House Finance. We are pretty much hustling over the DeFi space and generate more yield to our users. Yeah.
Lawrence.
Well, hi everyone. I'm Lawrence. I'm the CEO and founder of Nobi. So we're basically a crypto asset and asset management service and exchange provider, building services for the next generation of Indonesia crypto investors. We were founded in 2018, and now we're basically just trying to make sure that everyone who wants to invest, they can invest in crypto in a easy and a safer way.
Colin.
Awesome. Hey, everybody. I'm Colin. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Yield Guild Games. We call it YGG. YGG is kind of the original and kind of large scale, the original kind of large scale crypto gaming guild for the broader blockchain gaming space. So, in 2020 and 2021, Axie Infinity became wildly popular in the Philippines and other parts of Southeast Asia. Yield Guild acquires NFT gaming assets, especially kind of in mass, for kind of these premier crypto games. And then we have a community of members that we, kind of deploy the assets into, and then I think share the earnings of some of the games they play. So, really at the intersection of kind of play to earn gaming and adoption here in Southeast Asia.
Yeah. So we're very fortunate to be joined by all three fellow panelists with very impressive track record. Now, so I think to start off, right, I just want to do a very quick recap of the recent events in the last couple of months. I think to start off, in May, we had Luna collapsed. So basically UST, DPEG, and then the entire Luna ecosystem collapsed as following that shortly after. And then a couple of weeks later, Three Arrows and a couple of other lending desks also announced that they were, or maybe like there were rumors going about suggesting that 3As and a couple of other lending desks were at risk of becoming insolvent. And then more recently, Coinbase is also being investigated by SEC for enabling the trading of unregistered securities. Now, so I just want to, with that context at the back of our head, what do you think is the general sentiment across the broad crypto market these days? Maybe we can start with Colin first.
Sure. Yeah, I do think I do think we find ourselves in sort of the beginnings or early stages of another crypto winter. I think I think we've seen this pattern. I think time and time again, where you have a year of build, a year of kind of insane, and followed by a year of pretty insane exuberance, followed by a year or more of kind of just wind down. Regulators catch up to certain trends. I think the faith gets overinvested. There's hacks. There's kind of collapses of major projects, and so I think the last time we saw something like this was maybe 2018. We had a significant drawdown after the ICO boom. You saw a lot of projects pull back. A lot of kind of hype died down. We got a lot of Bitcoin's dead, blockchain is dead, crypto is dead articles. It does feel. I think the recent events and the broader market sentiment, it does feel like we're in that other drawdown era. I think if it's someone's first winter, it can be very, very terrifying. It feels like it's the end of the world or end of the space. I think for people that have been building in the space for a long time, like I think many of the people in the middle have, it's unfortunate, but in some ways it's a time that creates cover and allows in a weird way allows a little bit more focus while people are people are scared of market sentiment. It allows you to kind of hunker down and build a little bit more without so much public hype.
Phoenix, what do you think, in relation to the general crypto sentiment these days?
Yeah, I think the sentiment is bad, right? People are really scared about what's happening, and people are yelling about, just like Colin said, crypto's dead, Bitcoin is dead, everything's dead. But I think the reason we have this panel right now is because all of us believe it's going to bounce back, right? The problem is when. If we don't believe that, then why do we have this panel? We're just like yelling, we're all going to die and just leave, right? So the problem is when it's going to bounce back. And is it going to happen every 4 years? We are waiting for the Bitcoin to move up or something like that. So my take is it's going to bounce back, and it's going to have a quicker cycle than the usual before, because all the infrastructure working really well during this, great shakedown. Like you see the Aave is going really well, Compound's going really well, like all the decentralized finance actually working pretty well. So the question is when it bounce back, and my big guess is at the end of this year. Yeah. So I'm actually the one is actually very optimism right now at this panel, right? Am I?
Oh,
am I the only one?
Well, that feels like very optimistic. I have a slightly different opinion in the timeline, but we'll come to that in a bit, right? So I think Lawrence, you know, I've known you since a couple of years ago, and I think at the time we knew each other, it was maybe 2019 period, and it was a relatively difficult period for all of us in crypto. So, you know, in your perspective, right, what were some of the things that help you through in thinking that the technology will sustain and would eventually emerge?
Well, well, I will echo the same sentiment as Colin and Phoenix here, that, you know, everything is dead now, right? So it's not only Bitcoin is dead, crypto is dead. We stock is dead, right? So a lot of big companies, you know, they have like a big shakedown. You know, Tesla, Netflix, you know, all these big companies. They say that, you know, they have strong fundamentals, you know, way stronger than any crypto. But look at what happened to them, right? So I think this is like, you know, in the macroeconomic situations, you know, we see that, you know, this is happening to everyone. It's not only to crypto, right? But what we should look at, you know, this is 2022, and we are in a much better shape than 2018. You know, all the crypto traders are saying, well, this is a higher low, right? So, you know, even though, you know, 22,000 is bad, you know, but 22,000 is still way better than 10,000, right? So, and we see, you know, what's happening behind the scene. You know, there are some centralized exchanges that, you know, went bankrupt. You know, we see that there are a couple of DeFi projects, decentralized projects that, you know, are failing. You know, but, you know, in general, we see, you know, Compound, Aave, you know, all these big protocols, you know, doing pretty well, right? No issues so far, right? You know, of course, there's Luna, there's UST, right? And, you know, there's a bunch of other projects that silently went dead, right? But
Yeah.
you know, in general, you know, we are still in a much better shape than 2018. So, you know, I'm positive that we will go through this crypto winter. You know, all the crypto tourists will go away. You know, people who are not really into this, you know, they will, you know, silently forget their wallets or their password, you know, and, you know, they will come back maybe in 1-2 years. Maybe not end of this year, Phoenix, maybe 2023. I would say that's like the best estimate. You know, depends on how the world will go, you know, if we will have the next world war, then, you know, everything will of course be different, right? But, you know, looking at the market now, I think, you know, it will come back, and I think it will be sooner than 4 years, right? So it doesn't need we don't need to wait until the next Bitcoin halving or something, right? So it will be faster.
Yeah, I share the same sentiment, and I think a lot more people within the ecosystem could also use that optimism that you just shared with all of us. So I think my next question is more specifically directed at Phoenix. Now, so one of the bigger narratives today is the merge on Ethereum. So now, well, it seems to us that the merge is already imminent, right? And so how do you think the event will impact your sector and the DeFi industry?
Yeah, I think that's the reason I'm really optimistic right now, because I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really believe in the merge of the Ethereum, and I not only believing, I not only hope, but I believe it's gonna success, because T-House have been following through all the testnet merge and the shadow fork merge. So it's actually, you say it's happening. It's not like people in 2019 and say it's gonna happen, and it's gonna wait till now, and people's gonna, right now we're actually finally seeing it's gonna happen. But for the technically, it's gonna affect not much in the DeFi structure, because the TPS won't change, and the gas fee won't change, and the EV won't change, right? So if the Ethereum price go up, the gas price will go up accordingly. But there are tons of small, nice changes to affect the DeFi industry. First, there's no more like to Ethereum block reward. So Ethereum will become a deflationary asset. So it's 1/8 of Ethereum will be emission to the people. So Ethereum will go to the moon. It will become ultra some money. Everybody's happy except for the miners. That's why I'm being happy, right? So because Ethereum will be the next momentum to generate another crypto, what's it called, crypto summer. It's like when you get happy or something. Yeah. So the Ethereum will be a deflationary asset. So and the other small thing like block time will be fixed at 12 seconds. So it will solve a lot of like block time, server time issues, and all the block will be finalized. So you won't have to waste another 12 confirmation blocks to get your money back, right? And more importantly, it's like when you staking Ethereum, you will get yield. And with the MBV booster, like it's a bribe when you can bribe the node to do your transaction first. All the yield will become something they say about like 10%. It's a double-digit risk-free return. It's too good to miss. So everyone in asset management will try to beat 10%. So that's by a lot. So I think that's gonna become a huge factor in DeFi. So once all that settles, I believe the layer 1 war will be over, because how do you compete with a $200 billion market cap proof of stake network with 400K nodes running it? So you see all the many layer 1 pop up today to fight the last fight, because they want to become relevant and to obtain markets before too late. But once it merge, everything, I think there will be, layer 1 war will settle. There will be another war on layer 2. There will be more layer 2 in Ethereum. Personally, for heads up, personally speaking, I'm very believing Ethereum ecosystem. And I believe in multi-chain. I believe in Vitalik. So we believe that we'll see more layer 2. It's more than, it's either OPs or ZK. And eventually one of them will win. So it will generate more liquidity. So all the DeFi system will prosper. All in all, I'm very looking forward to it. So, and I think it will be a success. Yeah.
Okay.
I hope that answers the question. And that's the reason I'm really happy about that. It's all finally comes. Yeah.
Yeah. So, following that, right? I just want to very quickly check in with Colin and Lawrence. Do you have anything to add to the merge narrative there?
Well, I think we need to have more people like Phoenix, right?
Yeah.
Very optimist and very positive, right? So in this kind of times, right? So people are, basically sometimes can be very pessimist, right? So you don't believe in anything, even when the merge are already starting to happen in the testnet, people are still, but they're gonna delay it again, right? So things will start to break up, and we won't have the merge until next year, things like that, right? So I think it's okay to be realist, but sometimes you need to be more positive to to encourage more things to happen, right? If everyone are so pessimistic, right? So then nothing will happen. We won't have any innovation. And so I think it's good that we have people like Phoenix, and I myself, trying hard to be more like him, to believe the merge is imminent, and hoping that this will happen this year, right? And I think I also share the same sentiment. L1 battle is it's going to over the moment that Ethereum finally gets to POS completely, right? So and right now everyone are just fighting for the second place, and time will tell whether the second place is meaningful, right? So I think there will be, but I think Ethereum is by far it's going to be the winner.
Got it. Yeah. So Colin, I have a question for you. So considering that the gaming guild space is highly competitive, and how does your company preserve the edge?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Thanks, Tian. So I'll say this: the universe of games to be covered has expanded in an insane way, right? So obviously Axie Infinity was kind of the space that really popularized the model, right? And you know, I think even the conversation we just had, you know, there's many different chains, there's many different layers, and now there's also many different games, right? So we actually find that there are gaming guilds at scale. We have basically no footprint because they're just in a different configuration of games, and so that for us is exciting. I think you know, I think the space is you know, I think one where people are still building quite dramatically. So I think from a competition standpoint, it's almost this like not even just a metaverse, but kind of a multiverse thing where it's like you could be, you know, present in radically different worlds than what would be your competition, right? Because I think the gaming space just has so many new games now. I'd say from a competition in kind of some of the same footprints of games, one of the things we've done at YGG is we find regional partners in different kind of, you know, geographic markets that we think are kind of relevant for play to earn. And what we do is we create kind of these things called sub-DAOs, which are guilds that are, you know, kind of have the, you know, kind of guilds that are part of YGG, but they have their own sort of sense of management. They have their own sort of assets, you know, assets. They choose their own games, and we do this because we believe, you know, we believe that, you know, we don't believe that we will have the best sort of local market knowledge in every market. I think that's kind of just, you know, we have some humility that, you know, someone operating in Latin America is probably going to know more about the Latin American market than we do. But if we can create a sub-DAO that kind of, you know, makes them successful and, you know, shares as much knowledge from YGG as possible, but allows them to kind of find gamers, find scholars in a more localized approach, you know, we believe that's a winning strategy. So, you know, I think to some extent, I think competition in the space is not, you know, I think the space is expanding rapidly enough that it's not too much of an issue. But certainly I think, you know, in terms of taking a localized approach and you know, going into new markets, we are very actively seeking out, you know, partners for expansion and you know, for a more localized approach. So yeah, so far it hasn't been too bad. Certainly, I think, you know, going back to the conversation a moment ago, you know, the competition is sort of only felt when unit economics start to crunch and stuff. But I think we are focused on kind of building product and actually kind of getting some cover without much, with the kind of the hype from crypto summer gone. And so you know, I think competition is you know, it's not so bad. I think we're focused more on just kind of building through crypto winter here.
Sounds good. That's a very fair approach. I think it is very sound and logical. And GameFi for me is one of the more interesting spaces that is still building out. And I would love to just learn more about it from you, maybe on a separate occasion. So now my next question is directed to everyone here. It's more generic. I think you know, what are some of the trends in crypto that you are most excited about? And I think we can start with Lawrence.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think it's the same thing, right? So the one that's interesting to me most is the start of crypto becoming mass to reach the mass market, right? So the moment that crypto is accepted to institution, the moment that crypto is accepted by you know, the regular people who are not investing in, who are not, you know, like basically like not a digital people, right? So people who are, you know, just some regular Joes. I think that's the moment where, you know, crypto is becoming mainstream, right? I think that's the one that excites me the most. we see it from from Axie Infinity, how crypto NFT can impact people in a profound way, right? And we see from DeFi, that people are interested in this kind of things, right? So, and but however, the boundaries to get into that, is still pretty big. It's still pretty complex. The UX are still pretty far, right? So I would say this is like the early days of internet, where only people who are really, really interested to learn about internet or use computer, they're the one who is going to use email, or make your own websites. Starts to play around with different kind of internet in the early days, right? It's very different to nowadays, where most people will be exposed to e-commerce, ride-hailing, chats platforms, and games, right? Basically, people from kids to uncle and aunties to grandma and grandpa, they're all exposed to that. We're still pretty far from that. It's basically right now, it's still the young bros and sis, and and it's still not mass market yet. So I think the most exciting thing is when we see utility and demand from people outside of these people, that's when things will be really interesting. And for me, regulator, they need to take a part in that, making sure that this is really safe, and we can figure out those parts sooner than later, and then people will follow, right? So otherwise, it'll be really hard.
Fair. Phoenix, what are some of the trends in crypto that excite you the most?
Yeah, as a developer, in general development, I think what's coming next is all about GameFi or blockchain game. I like to call it blockchain game, because sometimes the fi something, people get it as a Ponzi or something. But blockchain games, because all the AAA game studio gets money like the beginning of this year, is gonna ship the product by the end of this year, right? It's gonna ship around like Q4 or Q1 next year. So all this blockchain game will create a momentum to bring user to the blockchain ecosystem. I don't care if the BNB or Polygon or the other layer one chain, but all the purpose of the blockchain game is to bring user into the ecosystem, and I'm really looking forward to that. T-House itself is helping a lot of small studios building the blockchain element on their games, because we believe the game studio should build games, and the blockchain plot should be built by blockchain people. So we collect together and do the blockchain game. So for general development, I see the blockchain game is gonna take off by the end of the year or next Q1. And in DeFi, which is my field, I see there's a ton of people are trying to solve the liquidity problem, especially on concentrated liquidity on Uniswap V3. There's a ton of model people trying to solve the impermanent loss problem on more capital efficiency. That's what I see. I'm myself working on providing such model to create more yield to our TVL, to our investors, right? And the other protocol actually brings a ton of new models, like Synthetic bringing the atomic swap with their Oracle. So that creates tons of trading volume. So people are attacking the DeFi trading problem in all kind of aspects. And I see this actually really going pretty well in both DeFi protocols. So I'm actually pretty excited at this moment to see all the experiments and all the model people come up with. So even though the market sentiment is bad, but I don't see the reason to tell people the market is bad right now. We want to show up to tell them, hey, we're doing stuff. The pin game will provide purpose, and the DeFi will go up. Yeah, that's what I take.
Nice. Always appreciate your energy and passion in the technology field. So, Colin, to close up, like, what's a trend in crypto or some trends in crypto that excite you the most?
Yeah, certainly. I think maybe to combine a bit what Lawrence and Phoenix were talking about, and speak to adoption a little bit, especially in the context of this kind of a Southeast Asian applications thing. I think what's exciting to me is in 2021 we called it Axie Summer. Certainly, it was in the context of a broader crypto summer. But I think what the most exciting thing was that crypto games, blockchain games, really became like the sort of the base layer for adoption, right? I think prior to joining YGG, I had been at the kind of intersection of fintech and crypto, and the narrative was always financial inclusion. The problem with financial inclusion in Southeast Asia, even with crypto, is it really was always top down. It was like, the people that wanted to buy crypto were the ones that had money already. Generally, people wanted, they wanted to get a little bit of crypto and access the services, but if you don't have it to begin with, you don't kind of need the centralized service. And even then, you're not even using a non-custodial service. You're using kind of some sort of centralized it's still a centralized database of users. I think when Axie Summer came around, places like the Philippines, Indonesia, Vietnam, these places were these places were like the hotbed of where kind of this market was happening globally, right? And so it was this rare moment where Southeast Asia was really the bleeding edge of a crypto movement, right? And so I think that the users in Southeast Asia that are playing crypto games are going to be, they're not using fintech products. Actually, they're using, base non-custodial wallets. They're learning how to interact directly on chain. Certainly, they're earning a crypto income directly from the game, right? So I think what's really exciting for me, and what I think we're focused on solving at Yield Guild, is we're going to have a ton of Southeast Asian users who, they're not signing up for our database. They're actually, creating their own financial tools. They're creating their own sort of wallets. They're earning directly in game. They're learning then how to, they're then learning, basic things about DeFi. They're learning tech services. They're learning how to use, they're learning how to kind of interact with other players and learn more about crypto generally. And so what's exciting to me is the concept that play to earn gaming or blockchain gaming is actually, this kind of entry point to a full ecosystem. And other than being top down the way kind of fintechs tried to solve it with financial inclusion, play to earn is a very bottoms up thing where it's actually, someone in the Philippine province or something actually makes more sense sometimes than, a user that's playing, some non-play to earn game, right? It actually works in a way, in a direction where it's kind of the bottom of the stack that's going to be playing these games first and building it up. And so I think it's a very bullish signal for Southeast Asia crypto generally to have such a broad base of adoption on top, kind of as to underpin, kind of the very serious kind of DeFi and more traditional financial innovation in the crypto space. And so, yeah, that adoption layer and having that as a really strong base for the region, I think is going to be a really powerful thing come the next crypto summer.
Yeah, sounds good. I think really appreciate the sharing from Phoenix, Lawrence, and Colin. With that, we've come to the end of the session, and we'll conclude the panel right here. So once again, I really want to thank all of you for taking the time to share your views and perspectives of the crypto market and your respective sectors with us. So thank you.
Thanks
Thanks,
for
Tian.
having me.
Thanks for having me, Tian.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, I hope you all enjoyed our first panel of speakers. There was a lot of knowledge and also points of contention throughout the conversation. But in general, it seems like everyone is quite bullish on ETH2 and Web3 gaming, not financial advice. Okay, if you missed it or want to watch it again, don't worry. We'll have the recording up within a few days, so make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Our second panel, Building Web3 Infrastructure and Tooling in the Bear Market, will be composed of 4 speakers. Li Ying, our very own legal master at AppWorks, who is also an NFT and smart contract degen. Li Ying will be the moderator of this panel. Suji is the founder of Mask Network, based out of Singapore, joined by Shen, the co-founder of Blockto, based out of Taiwan, and last but not least, Jeeth, the COO of Breeder DAO, joining us from the Philippines. Let's hear their take on building Web3 infrastructure and tooling in the bear market.
Hello, my lovely audience. I'm Lee, a Web3 lawyer in the making. It's a bear market, but builders are gonna build. In the previous panel, we have a lot of decentralized applications. And applications require solid infrastructure and tooling to facilitate. Our guests in this panel, coming from the GSEA region and aiming towards the global market, perfectly represent their respective sectors in terms of Web3 infrastructure and tooling. They are the true Web3 builders. First, let's welcome Suji. Suji is the founder and CEO of Dimension and Mask Network. Mask Network has this mission to onboard users to ensure that users' privacy is protected. So Suji, how about introduce yourself?
Hey, I'm Suji and founder and CEO of Mask Network. And Dimension is our equity branch, which we also sponsor a lot of public good projects. So we've been starting doing Web3 social since 2018, late 2017, early 2018, and it's been 5 years. So Mask is basically one of the leading Web3 social projects. We try to figure out what's going to be decentralized in social network. And we're still early, but Mask is relatively late stage. And we also have a venture arm called Bonfire Union. We're actively helping and angeling and incubating Web3 Social Alliance, people who are related with social network, with decentralized NFT, and all these friends. And so far, we don't have office in Taipei, but we have office in a lot of different countries and cities. And in my opinion, we hope to build this, metaverse country where can have the decentralized social. So that's our goal. Yeah, nice to have everyone here.
I'm glad you mentioned your venture arm, and I hope AppWorks can work closely in the future with you guys. And here we have Shen. Shen is the co-founder and CEO of Blockto. Blockto is a multi-chain all-in-one crypto wallet that allows users to manage cryptos, NFTs, and dApps as simple as any lifestyle apps you find on your smartphone. Shen, say hello to our audience.
Hi everyone. I'm Shen, and I'm happy to be here. And I have been in the blockchain space for quite some time. I started doing a little bit of mining back in 2012, 13, when I was back in the doing my master's. And then I did some side projects around Ethereum in back 2015 and joined this industry professionally in 2017 and built crypto exchange, layer 1 protocol, dApps. And eventually in 2019, my co-founder and I started this current company Portal and doing our product Blockto. And we're focusing on making blockchain simple and accessible for people without technical background to get into this space easily and find whatever they want to do in here. And we also help games, Web2 companies, social apps, reduce their entry barrier and make it seamless for people that are not familiar with tech to use their product. So yeah, so we want to bring more users into the space and get familiar with blockchain technology.
And here we have Jeff. Jeff is the COO of BreederDAO. BreederDAO is known as the go-to asset factory of the metaverse. By producing high volume, high quality NFT gaming assets, BreederDAO not only enables the flywheels of the play to earn economies, but also envision a rapid growth of assets demand for the larger metaverse. Jeff?
Hey guys, thanks for having me. Yeah, my name is Jeff. I've been exposed to crypto since 2013, but not in a professional manner. I was trading back then. Professionally, I started diving into the space 2020. Me and my partner started BreederDAO in 2021 due to the lack of supply in the blockchain gaming asset market. there was a surge of demand and asset prices were going up, and then we figured that there must be a lack of supply on the other side. And too many people, I believe, were paying too much attention towards the guild model, wherein you buy an asset and rent it out for somebody to play with, but not a lot of people were paying attention to the actual production of these assets. So that's where we chose to focus on. And right now, BreederDAO has just, we're a 56-person team. We're relatively young, but we're building all of the necessary tools and infrastructure to help us onboard the next billion players into the metaverse through blockchain gaming.
My first question is for all of you in general. Is this bear cycle any different in terms of capital market, talent market, user behavior, or anything? Let's start with Jeff.
Okay, sure. With any cycle, the pool always gets bigger, right? 2013, 2017, 2021, or 2020. The whole market as a whole, the market as a whole gets bigger. The dollar value attached to the market gets bigger. Hence, capital also gets bigger. More talent is attracted. There's a lot more activity right now. And what I'd like to actually point out is how this bear market went down, and it's what makes it very interesting to me, because back when the bubble popped in 2013, 2017, it was mostly retail traders who lost their shirts. But this time around, you have institutional grade firms who you hear every week going bankrupt. There was a whole chain that blew up. There was a whole stable coin backed ecosystem that just went kaboom. Lenders, a lot of them are going bankrupt right now. So you're starting to see a lot of institutions enter and also get burnt in the space, which might sound a bit scary, but to me, it's a sign of a maturing financial market, right? And it's a sign of the level of participation, not just in numbers, but in talent and intelligence shown or being demonstrated by the market right now.
Right, exactly. And what do you think, Shen?
Yeah, I think, I think it's quite different from the previous cycles, previous bear markets, in the sense that, like, in previous bear markets, like, there's still a bunch of people that are thinking, okay, so this is totally a bubble, like this entire industry, Web3, blockchain, it's just a buzzword and it's going to vanish like in a few years. But in this cycle, like, people are just like sort of established that this is not going anywhere. Like, it is here to stay. So even and people are starting to acknowledge that, okay, so this is just a normal thing. Like, it gets overhyped and it gets overcome. Like, it's just a normal thing. And so more people are willing to stay in this industry, no matter it's talents or like investors. And so for more people, they are just thinking of this as a chance to buy the dip, and like keep investing long term. But like, there's also one difference in this bear market than the previous ones, is that it's not just a Web3 bear market. It's sort of global. It's larger than that. Like, the entire economy is getting kind of bearish right now. So so I would say, like, it's still relatively easier to raise fund or to get talent in this market than in previous bearish markets.
Thank you. And how about you, Suji?
So as the other panelists mentioned, like, this is definitely not only crypto, it's like in general global economy. And we all know Bitcoin was invented. The idea was brought from the previous CryptoPunk ideologist to realistic in 2008, after 2008, right after the financial crisis. We kind of assume this one we are facing, or we're kind of like enduring right now, is at the same level, right? It's a same level financial crisis. So it's real, kind of a test event of the crypto economy. No matter what's the terminology of it, you call it a cryptocurrency economy, token economy, whatever. But in order to gain the independence of the Web3 nation, you have to think about, oh, this is the real test here, right? It's like the same level of the problem occurred as 2008. And during 2008, Satoshi invented Bitcoin. And then there's a lot of new invention on top of it, right? The Ethereum, the general Web3 protocols, or different subdomains. So it's really a good testing, let's say testing stone. And it really can help no matter we're builder or investor to identify who's the ones here for best work, who's the one here for long-term staying and enduring and building. So that's the very fundamental difference. And I think that I've been experienced 2017, 2015. Last two time is also very tough, but it's not as tough as 2008. We won't say, hey, it's really close to the financial crisis or recession. But now everyone was talking about it. It's real time to bring what Satoshi built to the next level. So it's really a good time, but there's also something the founders or entrepreneurs should be aware of. You should stay focused and stay building. But that's something I think, yeah.
Wow, I feel it's quite encouraging as you all mentioned that this fair is a macro thing, right? But talent migration from Web 2 to Web 3 is still true. Among all the recent trends, which one you feel most excited about?
Oh, so for me, it's always about the social network, decentralized social network. So this is my theory. I've been talking this for a few months, and my theory is like we're going to build the network state, Web3 nation, metaverse nation state, whatever name you name it. It's basically an independent state above the global superpower, right? And superseding all the nation state. So in order to build this Web3 nation state, you need to have some infrastructure, right? You need to have someone to build the road, to have an island, to have have a metaverse. So that's the public chain. And then you need to have someone to build the value exchange mechanism, which is the DeFi, and then the cultural mechanism, which is the NFT. But after all these relatively finished, innovation was brought to the market, people realize it's still a quite small island. It's really just like one or two few million people on this small island, and shouting out, "Hey, we're going to change the world," but it's really small space. And I think like social and gaming are probably the two largest things can bring billions of people together into this new Web3 nation state. We are not expert in games. So basically, in my opinion, I'm always bullish about social. Let's think about Web 1 and Web 2. It's mostly social and games that actually bring billions of people into this new world, and then eventually have political power to shape the political structure. We've witnessed that in the Cambridge Analytica thing, Facebook, and then Trump, right? And I think this Web3 version of political power or power shifting will eventually landed in the general Web3 social space. So I'm super excited about that part. And by the way, the valuation of these products, these protocols are really low, which means that a lot of people are not paying attention. Right? That's something I'm really super bullish about.
Since you've brought up the idea of network state, so how is it different from the idea of anarchy? And what's the probability you believe it would come true someday, given the authorities are all against this idea?
It's a really good question. Like I was quite anarchism, back in high school, whatever, at a younger age in college. I think the difference is the anarchism or anarchy usually don't give you a plan. It's like, hey, we don't like this and that, we don't like the constructions and but then there's no plan afterward. It's like, hey, we're just gonna get rid of the government, and then what if what after that? It's gonna be heaven or whatever, like happily live forever, utopia. There's no backup plan, right? And now what state is it's or something like Web3 nation or metaverse country is not denying the necessity of organizations like government or organizations like NGO or something like public organizations. It's needed in the modern society, but the way it is needed is very different than what we're living right now. We are living more gradually more in the metaverse or in the cyberspace than in the physical space. Right? Just like this conference today, just like this recording today, we are in the cyberspace. And the censorship or the taxation power in this space is not really belong to any individual or any company or any government. It is belong to a relatively chaotic, situation right now. And network state or something similar about this ideology, anything similar about this ideology is not denying that we have something like in the rooting whatever organization. But it's like, hey, there's a path that we may have this thing on top of the existing nation state. It's more like the evolving of nation state, right? The nation state is evolved from the feudalism countries. If we talking about European history, it's evolved from the feudalism countries, from feudalism states into the modern nation state. Then we have like nation identity recognition, like we are from which country, and then we are evolving this stage from this stage to a better stage, which is the Web3 nation or metaverse country, and it's happening. And we need different infrastructure for that, purpose. So that's just my understanding. And since you're from the law professional background, legal background, there's also like DAO eventually need to set up the constitutions of the new nation, which is happening, right? There's a lot of dispute about DAOs, which is happening. It's like the how the common law is come to real life. It's very interesting.
I really love this discussion. Promise me we'll have another episode on this one. Okay. So yeah, Xuan. So what makes you feel most excited about among the recent trends?
Yeah, so I totally agree with Suji, and I like this new way of governance or this new way of how societies work can potentially work is the reason that I got into the space. I believe in the long-term potential of blockchain, and like I think this is like something similar to how gunpowder changed the world. So like before gunpowder, it was like people hiding in the castles, and they just so there are like smaller like authorities, like just one lord and governing like a small region. And then gunpowder came out and destroyed the castles, and then it became a larger like nations, or like emperors can govern like more land and with their army and with their gunpowder. And so I think eventually blockchain can be something similar to this level. So it can change the world, change the way that we communicate with each other or collaborate with each other. But in the shorter term, like this is something that's probably going to happen like decades in the future. But for now, I think two of the key drivers that can push us that way are like, yeah, gaming and social. And we're more focusing on gaming from our perspective. So yeah, like we think, yeah, so Web3 social is kind of lacking right now. How do you actually build a Web3 social platform? There are various projects trying to sort this out. Yeah, and I think Mask is going in a very like interesting direction, and we are working with like games to help promote this like ideology as well. And as recently I read a tweet from a Fred Urson that kind of is very similar to our ideas. So like these like new ideas introduced by Web3, by blockchain, they are all good, but they are sort of conflicting with like current authorities of banks, governments. It's more difficult to push this forward, but you can always try this in games. So these innovation can start from games, and like games create new worlds. It's not actually competing with current authorities, but it's engaging. So like, a lot of people, like if you have played with World of Warcraft, you know that it creates a alternative world. It creates a metaverse that people can just enjoy and like live a life in there. And yeah, so and it can be an experimental playground to try out governance. And so we are like very bullish on games, and we are building our like Unity SDK now. So our like user-friendly wallet service can be used directly in games, like without user having to download other stuff. And yeah, so it makes it easier for these kind of games to actually reach their users.
Yeah, super interesting points, guys. And that just like, I mean, you guys gave fantastic answers. I'd just like to build off of that. Well, what makes me excited is the metaverse in general, and blockchain gaming in particular, which in my opinion is a subset of the metaverse. The metaverse, I think, is a state of mind, right? More and more people are plugging into the internet, spending a lot of their time, a good percentage of their life online. And I believe what the metaverse is when we reach that point when more people not only spend more of their life plugged in, but also give a larger value to digital items instead of physical items. And I think we're trending towards that direction. And I think blockchain gaming is what allows for people to for that to happen. Blockchain and NFTs are simply an infrastructure layer for this to happen. Blockchain gaming gives you rewards for your knowledge, time, for your skills spent playing the game. But if you think about it, strip it at its core, you're playing a game, you're spending time online, you're earning money. Well, the only thing that's stopping people from spending more time online is they have to go to their job, right? They have to make a living. They got to pay the bills. But with blockchain gaming and what it's trying to allow, or what we've seen with the potential that we've seen with blockchain gaming and with what all of these builders are trying to do, I think there will come a point when people will be incentivized to stay online. People will be incentivized to stay in the metaverse. Not only will it be play to earn or move to earn and probably work to earn, which is what we do right now, right? But then it'll be online. And I think as a society, that's what excites me. The metaverse is a truly borderless world, and the decentralization aspects of it, I don't have to touch on it. You guys did a fantastic job on it. And yeah, that's my answer.
Great. So when I ask you guys about the recent trends, I was thinking of all the buzzwords, but from your answers, I understand that you guys are all very visionary dreamers first, then the builders. So let's get back to get down to earth a little bit. So Suji, would you shed some light on your near-term plan in this fair and what you expect to achieve in the next bull run?
Yeah, so be specifically on Web3 social. I think recently it's been in a small hype. Like a lot of people are talking about Web3 social, and we're working closely with many other participants to see what we can build and what we can do together with the other players in the Web3 social. And it's going to be a long-term process, right? So we already announced the SocialFi Alliance back in last year. And there's actually more interesting participants in this field. So we actually launched another brand called SocialFi Club. It's hosting a lot of Twitter space It's more developer facing because right now there's only I just say only like 1,000, less than 1,000 builder in the Web3 social space. Another plan we have is to have this homebrew next ID released and fully open source and gradually decentralized to the audience. So next ID is like 100% incubated by Mass Network, and the reason we have this thing is we figure out this is really kind of like a nightmare to deal with all this DID. There's around 10 DID and there's around like 30 decentralized ID. And then you have like a 50 ID together with different keys. So we have this next ID. It's very interesting. We're promoting that, try to solve some industry infrastructure problem. I think after all this is going to be solved, it's the time that we might able to see some I'd say user growth. Before that, it's going to be very hard.
So Xuan, the L1 competition issue, we've been witnessing the block-based competition among L1 blockchains in the past 2 years. So Blockto seems like a big winner as it features the multi-chain function covering Flow, Solana, Polygon, and BNB ecosystems. So what's your view on the competition and your prediction of the endgame?
Yeah, I think it's becoming sort of like a consensus that in the future, it's not going to be one chain to replace all the others, but like different chains would have like a different place and suitable for different tasks. So multiple chains will exist and together, but with better cross-chain solutions. So yeah, and that is also the future that we're trying to help promote. So we want to provide like chain agnosticity on all the chain that we support, like either to users and to builders. So like it's similar to like you're using house at this day and age. Like you either build your own server, you can use a GCP, you can use AWS, but for your users, they don't really care. Like they just go to your website and they just need the like functionalities to work. And currently it's not the case for blockchain. So like whenever users are using applications that's built on a different chain, they will have to learn like a completely new set of tools, set up new wallets, and like there are different ways to manage your account and pay for the transaction fees. And I don't think that is it's not going to be like this for a long time. Like it's something that we need to sort out, because for users, they don't really care. They shouldn't really care that which chain these applications are built on. So yeah, so like we will provide, like we will continue to provide like a universal, like general experience on different chains that we support, and like the users shouldn't have to feel that.
Agree. So that is why Blockto particularly stands out as a one platform. So talk a bit about the wallets on competition. So there are just so many wallet products there. You also like kind of stress this idea of seamless interoperability with all the other dApps. So is this what you believe a winning strategy, or anything else?
Yeah, so compared to other wallets out there, we focus more on applications. Like we focus more on the use cases where users actually interact with like either games, social apps, or like websites, instead of purchasing cryptocurrency and wait for it to rise in value, or like getting an NFT and waiting it to appreciate in value. So yeah, so for our use case, it's more application based. So like our entire experience is geared toward this. And yeah, so I think this has enabled a lot of growth in our previous, like last 1.5 years. We have been growing like around 70% each month. And because like now more and more users are interested in blockchain, They're not necessarily like interested in the underlying technology itself. They're not in here because they just want to use blockchain. They're in here because some of their favorite IPs or some of their favorite companies have adopted blockchain and like provided some additional functionality. For example, like NBA Top Shot has given rise to like a new batch of users that were like simply just NBA fans, and they want to do stuff like that. They want to collect these like these moments from their favorite players, and this is not just happening in NBA. It's happening in a lot of like different fields, like different industries. And so yeah, so we're lucky to be one of the first to focus on this, and we think this is going forward, this is still something that's going to drive a lot of adoption, or at least a lot of education for like users to get their first taste of Web3 or blockchain. And we want to be there to help them get on board and become the like a main identity or main entrance that they get when they get into this space.
Talking about something interesting, P2E games. So it's been through a crazy year in 2021, but there seems less hype recently as people are questioning the X to earn model. So Brita DAO works closely with a lot of P2E games and guilds. So Jeff, what's your view on the road ahead for GameFi?
So, sorry. Yeah, okay, I'm here. Yeah, so we've seen what doesn't work, right? And we've seen, and I've touched on this a while ago, we've seen the potential of blockchain gaming with the rise of Axie Infinity mid last year, and all of these other game economies that cropped up. And the challenge really is to find something that's sustainable, right? It's a challenge of the alignment of incentives, because if you look at Web2, World of Warcraft was mentioned a while back, and there are a host of other virtual game economies in Web2, RuneScape, EVE Online. These games have been around for decades, right? And these games have managed to build virtual economies that actually work. And I do believe this is a huge task. The best and the brightest minds are working on this as we speak. We meet with a lot of games, a lot of innovation is coming to the table, not only on the tokenomics side, but also on the game design side, the user experience, the game quality. So these are some of the challenges that need to be overcome in order for us to attract more people into blockchain gaming. Gaming is truly the Trojan horse, which will make blockchain adoption, which will give mass adoption to blockchain technology. It's a $200 billion market. More than a third of all people in the world play video games. So if it's going to be, if something is going to light that fire, it's going to be gaming. And blockchain gaming will definitely have a little bit of time needed in order to get to where it's supposed to be, in order to have that true product market fit, right? But I do believe that only time is a factor. People are working towards that goal. A lot of people are helping each other to reach that goal. And, you know, people who've started businesses based on what blockchain gaming was or is at the current moment is being challenged, right? The game business models are being challenged. The guild business models are being challenged. Our business model is being challenged. So there's a lot of innovation and at the same time, a lot of uncertainty, right? But like everybody else in this fast moving space, it's cutting edge technology, and you have to stay abreast on top of trends, and you have to act quickly on them. So those are the challenges and the opportunities, in my opinion.
So Jeff, thank you for sharing about your view on the gaming industry and the opportunities and challenges as a whole. But since, you know, DAO, the idea of DAO is just embedded in your name, Breed a DAO. So would you share a bit about, the ownership idea or the idea of tokenomics in the Web3 businesses as a whole, or in your own business?
Yeah, so tokenomics, are you asking tokenomics in relation to token utility and all of that?
All that. I mean, how does tokenomics play its role in your business? Is dual token model still a thing?
Oh, okay, right. So yeah, well, to give you a view on the ground, dual token models have been the gold standard since Axie Infinity. But like I said, right, people are continuously trying to innovate. We've seen a lot of games try to challenge this two token model. A lot of people are trying to go to single token model, and even some games, I would say, are going with a no token model, right? Some of them are experimenting with what we'd like to call soft currencies, similar to Web2 currencies like gold or gems that you can take off the app. Games like this sort of like try to veer away from the financialization of the tokens or the currency, instead focus on the asset portion of blockchain gaming, which to me makes sense. At its very core, NFTs, what they bring to the table is true ownership and the ability to say that the asset that you worked for, that you found, that you traded for, is truly yours, and you can get something in return for it. I don't know what the ideal tokenomic model is for games yet. We have yet to see it, right? At its current form, a lot of games are still doing two token models, like I said. We have yet to see a truly sustainable game economy, but we always have our eyes peeled. And the moment I see one, I'll let you know.
Thank you. So how about Suji? What's your view on ownership, and how does the idea of tokenomics tie to your business?
Yeah, I mean, it's really the real question, I think, is whether you want liquidity or not. I mean, in some sense, liquidity is not really a good thing, right? Just you want to own your article, you want to own your social or game experience, then you probably just need an NFT, and you don't really want the fractionalization. You don't want to have to earn, to mine it, to farm it, whatever. And you want to have a community that really love the same product, the same culture. And you don't really want a lot of people that don't really understand what's going on just to earn to come, right? But in the previous market, I mean, especially in last year, it's really a dilemma for the founders, because if they don't really adopt this model, they won't see exponential growth. But right now, I think only the long-term believers survive, right? A lot of games survive, a lot of great projects survive, are not because they're using the earn mechanism or using the whatever fine mechanism. It's because they're building good product or building something people want, right? So it's really about what you're building, and without a token economy model, it might not be that so interesting, but still a good product. But only with the token model, it won't work. It's just going to be some people are going to try to earn, right? So that's my understanding. And I think for early stage founder, it's more important to focus on this token. It's more important to focus on product rather than the token economics or whatever. Yeah.
Thank you for speaking 2 times speedy. So Xuan, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's exciting to see a lot of people actively working on gathering the knowledge and looking into different projects with their different token economic models and trying to figure out what works, what doesn't work, like what is effective. And so it's an ongoing process, and we wouldn't say we are like experts. the more we dig into it, the more we see that there's just too much to learn. So I wouldn't say we are experts in like token economics yet, but in general, I think what it enables is that, so most of the products, most of the software or like internet services out there require network effect. So like the more users or the more parties that are involved in this ecosystem, the more valuable your product becomes. And it's even more so in like Web3 or like social kind of applications. And what token enables is that it accelerates this process. So like with some like incentive, like you can bootstrap your network effect very, very quickly, given that you convey the idea or the value that your product is going to provide, and your users agree with this, and in the process they can make something out of it, and or they can as they use it, as they promote this to their friends, they get more voting power in this ecosystem, and they're willing to do this. So it bootstraps the network effects very quickly. And then like in the later stage, these early users have like their place in the ecosystem. It's not just like Facebook, like, so they got a lot of users. Now, like users are under their control and they can just do whatever they want with this data. With like token economics, the interests of the project and the users can be more aligned. So it accelerates the growth, and also it like makes the decision process in the future better. So yeah, I would say that this is at the core. It should be at the core of any like token economics, but how exactly like the issuing of the token or the dilution of the token should be designed, it differs from project to project, from category to category. So yeah, I think that we still have a lot to learn in this.
Awesome. Last but not least, please give us a one-liner quote that you like us, particularly the Web3 builders, to take away from this panel. Let's start with Jeff.
See you in the metaverse.
Great. So Xuan?
Yeah, I would say bear market is the perfect time to build. We've been here for a couple of times, and we're actually actively hiring right now. So if you're interested, have our contact.
Great. So how about Suji?
Let's build the Web3 nation together.
Awesome. So I hope you enjoy the panel. We'll meet you in Web somewhere, somehow. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Well, that's it, folks. I want to thank OL panelists for joining us today, and I hope you all enjoyed our second edition of web3.GSEA panel and have gained an additional insight on the unique Web3 flavors that the GSEA region possesses. Thank you all for tuning in today. If you'd like to stay updated on future events, content on Web3, such as our panel blog that we do every 6 months, make sure you follow our socials in the description below. It's my pleasure to be your host today. GM again, wherever you are, and I'll see you in the metaverse. Bye.